I was really hoping for like a new kind of murder cult and not just like the one mighty and strong doing blood atonement again.
We are all hoping for a new murder cult. Welcome to Tunnel Talk, No Facts, All Feelings Wrestling Podcast. I'm Allie.
I'm Ann.
And I'm Leah.
And it's the new year. How is everybody doing?
Thriving.
Productive.
And I present. And I did just write on the ceiling up here in my parents' attic because I was waving a pencil around. So present that I wrote on the ceiling. It is so good to see you guys.
I know.
Oh, Happy New Year.
Had
Happy
a little
New
vacation.
Year.
Really throws off my Thursday to not have this recording.
I know. Did everyone have a nice Christmas? I think we're three Christmasers. Not all of us religious, but
Yeah. I had a good Christmas, I would say. It was very low-key.
It was nice. My dog really likes tearing up paper, any kind of paper towels, anything. But that means that Christmas for her is the greatest day of the year because everyone's ripping paper and it's pretty exciting. So she went nuts, and that makes for an enjoyable Christmas.
She's like, that's the one day of the year that the whole family shares my interest.
they let her help rip the paper, and she can grab it. Yeah.
Well, we all had a nice break, and we actually have some very big, exciting news that some of you may already know, which is that over break we were offered the opportunity and accepted to join the Social Suplex Podcast Network along with our very good friends Trish and Sarah. So we're doing that. So we're on a network with a lot of people that we really love, and I think we don't fully understand how we have scammed our way into this situation, but we're loving it.
I sort of feel like we managed to skate in with Trish and Sarah, Trish and Sarah are really
wave.
smart and stuff. Yeah. They're like,
That's like a serious podcast, and now people think we're a serious podcast, and
But maybe it's like they know that's a serious podcast, but then it's like you want to chase her,
A little bubbly fun on the
a little
side.
bubbly fun afterwards. And it's, as you know, we've been getting more and more sports oriented in recent weeks, but unfortunately the Connie did wrap up. So it's just back to bargain basement erotica stuff with us. It's just
So if you're joining us from the Social Suplex Network, check out our past few episodes. We talk sports the whole time, and tonight we'll be doing other things.
We'll be doing other things. We're going to give you a whole new reason to beg Tony Khan for more sports presentation, because when he gives it to us, we meet him at that level. But when he doesn't, we meet him at another level. So if you're here for the first time, we're very excited. If you're one of our beautiful, beloved, normal listeners, nothing changes for you. And we can't tell you how grateful we are that you listen.
Yeah, except we're now on the Social Suplex Network Discord, and we've got our own little channel, so you can join us there, and we'd love to have you.
Chit chat. Should we be doing conversation starters in there? Maybe.
Ooh, that would be pretty.
Leah looked at me like,
wow.
No.
No, that wasn't my face at all. I was just immediately on the spot was like, what questions should we ask? As if this was like a brainstorming session. I was like, you don't have to decide that right now.
Leah's in an action item mode right now, for sure.
We had a pretty intense podcast meeting before this where we had to take notes about our action items. So I'm really in a mode where I'm like, who's going to act on this?
Yeah, Allie, do you want to do the first discussion question? And should we do them weekly or bi-weekly?
Should we rotate? Who's in charge?
What I did is, so you know that I have these work meetings that all start with icebreakers. What if I just brought the icebreakers from those meetings into our podcast channel?
I would love that, actually. Yeah, I think we could bring that energy.
They're not that interesting. What was the one today? Oh, I just had to weigh in on what my favorite winter food was. So it might be better if they were wrestling related. But, we'll noodle on that, shall we? Okay. We have so much wrestling to talk about. Are you ready?
So ready.
Yeah. As I'll
Thank
ever
you.
be.
I wanted to hear that spoken verbal consent. Let's get into it, baby. While we were out, we watched the World's End pay-per-view. We're going to be bringing up various storylines that culminated or didn't culminate there throughout the podcast, but I thought we could start out just by talking about overall impressions, highs and lows, and mids. Maybe some mids in there, you know?
Yeah, it wasn't the best pay-per-view they've ever put on.
No, and I think MJ from Waffly Bollocks actually identified exactly why, which is like the middle was incredibly soggy, and that's where the Bucks match usually is. Like the Bucks like party match in the middle is what like gets you through that, like, and it wasn't there, so we just kind of like sunk into like the couch and was like, oh, okay.
It really suffered from a lack of any elite members or like Orange Cassidy or the Lucha Brothers or like a lot of their kind of most entertaining performers, unfortunately.
Our high energy OGs. Yeah, I really did while watching. Of course, I always miss the Young Bucks, but while watching the pay-per-view, it was pretty extreme where it was just like, I need to see some rap boys who have never made me watch a bad match in my life. I need them now.
Exactly.
Exactly.
And like the Bucks always come in when the crowd's kind of like sleepy, like dead, and they get them back. You know what I mean? Like that is the thing that they do. And so I'm like, yeah, this is what happens when they're not here.
Yeah. And it was like Full Gear was bad too, but it was like it had great parts and it had like actively terrible parts. This didn't really have actively terrible parts. It was just mostly pretty dull.
It was mostly
pretty
dull.
I think it started well and it ended well. I just think that it had an incredibly like soggy middle.
Yeah. But even like that first match, like it was definitely a highlight. But to me, it felt like a pretty normal like pay-per-view match. And then at the end of the pay-per-view, I was like, that was like one of the best matches of the time. But like as it was happening, I was like, this to me is kind of like normal level AEW pay-per-view, which I mean is very high, but you know what I mean? Just like
I mean, I don't want to suggest that it was in any way a normal AEW pay-per-view because it wasn't.
It was abnormal.
Yeah, I just think that like really honestly, I think that if there was a good match in the middle, we would feel better about the rest of the card, but
it would have helped.
I think that's true. It also was it was rough that look, at a certain point, the MJF storylines, the devil stuff, it had to culminate. Like, we had to do it, so it had to happen. Great radio. We had to do it, so it had to happen. And it makes sense that it was the last match of the night, or otherwise known as the main event. That's all. It's like I accept it. But it was really difficult to be like, Eddie Mox is like the most exciting thing happening here. Like, this is like absolute like banger match with all the baggage, but like and all the Connie feelings that we have. Like you just wanted after that, it was like, so you want me to keep paying attention again? I don't know, Tony. I don't know.
I know. And MJF really suffered again from having like a big contrast from like Eddie Mox, very authentic, very real, very exciting. And then you jump to like sort of cartoony, silly devil stuff. And it was like, oh, okay. And just like the last time it was like Hangman Swerve went really hard, like really hurt each other. Like it was so brutal. And then like there's a fake MJF injury storyline where you're just like, well, it probably wouldn't have seemed so fake if it weren't like juxtaposed with something so real, but you know.
Yeah, I think that's very true. It was very interesting that they had done a full about face from Full Gear with respect to like threading Hammy storylines throughout the show. It felt like Tony had been like, actually nothing's getting threaded through this show. We had one backstage segment, I think. It was a very stark difference. And I don't think that hurt anything, but you know, it's like we just didn't have anything to sink our teeth into aside from just a few things. So, should we just get into is there anything else you want to say about the old pape, or should we just get into the storylines?
Let's get into it.
Let's get into it, mamas. Okay. Last week on Dynamite, MJF. Oh, so this is before the pay-per-view. We're going back into the dark mists of time. MJF lost his and Cole his and Adam Cole's ROH tag team titles to two of the Devil's mystery minions. And Samoa Joe revealed himself to be in league with the Devil, and he chaired MJF in the ring. And that is where we were at going into the pay-per-view. So on the pay-per-view, and again, this was the main event, MJF fought Joe. There was early, before the match started, Adam Cole came out to be ringside again so that MJF could have his friend. So he was there ringside, and we had a few little, he's fumbling around trying to get MJF his ring, but can't get it to him in time, et cetera, et cetera. Samoa Joe wins the AEW World title. Afterwards, MJF very low, crying in the ring, Adam Cole comforting him. We have the Devil's minions come out to surround and attack. The lights go out, and when they come back on, Adam Cole is not being chaired. He is sitting on a chair. Of course, his foot is broken. He is sitting on a chair with the minions flanking him because he is the Devil. Dun, dun. And his men were Roddy, Matt Taven, Mike Bennett, and Wardlow. Wardlow, as we knew, he would be in the storyline, and indeed he is. So Wardlow powerbombed MJF. Any thoughts about that before I explain how we opened the week?
It was, I'm just glad it's over. You know what I mean? It's
right.
One of the most boring ways they could have done it, and I'm not even mad. Not mad.
Right.
I'm glad.
I'm just
happen.
Well, they had to reveal the Devil, and there was no way I was going to be happy with it. So, sure, it might as well be Adam Cole. It is a little bit we've just doubled down on injured Adam Cole doing things. So, I don't feel great about it, but, whatever. I can't even.
It raises quite a few questions that we can discuss in a moment about what we're going to be doing going forward. But I agree that I'm pulverized meat over here, where it's that's how limp I am. It's just reveal someone. I'm glad we did that so that this won't be happening anymore. So this week on Dynamite opened with a pre-tape from Samoa Joe, and then Adam Cole got an in-ring segment, and he crutched out
slowly down the ramp.
Where he basically, I think the gist of it was that he was MJF has made lots of enemies, and he turned on everyone, and what was I going to do, wait around for him to turn on me? He's a bad guy, so I turned on him. Do you think I have that right?
I think so, although you were just a little more coherent than he was, I feel because I watched it afterwards because I was I don't think I really followed that. And it was he did a lot more of just MJF sucks, promo on MJF than he did actually explain any of his own journey through this whole time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, it was quite vague.
Yeah, I don't think he could have because he can't. It doesn't make sense. So he's got to go forward. So I don't know. I mean, it felt to me this promo had to happen. They had to start the show. He had to be the linking.
We had to do it, and it had to
happen. It had to happen. Yeah, I don't know. I'm just sort of yeah, you guys, you made the bed, and now now did it.
You lay down.
You lay down in it. Everyone's asleep. Everyone's asleep in this bed now.
Go to sleep.
Whatever.
Oh, go to sleep. It's about Punk. We're back.
We're back.
We're so back.
We're so
Joe
back.
over.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think I was going to say something, but I have immediately forgotten it. So whatever. Okay. Oh,
wasn't Kyle O'Reilly though? That was the
Kyle wasn't there.
And it wasn't there. And it wasn't little Jack Perry, who's never coming back to television, I guess.
If he doesn't come back with the Bucks as all little mean rat boys, I'm gonna KMS. I mean, it'll be over for me. I wish I could remember.
Our friend Aaron, who hasn't watched with us in a while, was wait, where's Jungle Boy? And we're we can't even get into it because we don't have time. We'll get into it later. And she was wait a minute. No. I know about All In. He's still gone from All In? And we were yeah.
Yeah. This one's also Punk's fault still. Yeah, I don't know how still. That man is on Raw now. But yeah, he's still.
She thought there had to be a new incident because there's no way that he could be gone since September. And it's no.
It does raise a lot of questions, Aaron. It does.
Yeah, you can't even get punched in the face around here anymore without being suspended for at least 4 months.
Oh my God. Oh no, I was just going to add that I think I said we watched Leah and I watched this podcast. Okay, run it. Just run it back. Leah and I were together for New Year's, and we watched the pay-per-view with Sarah of Trish and Sarah. And while we were watching, she was like, when Adam Cole came out, she was like, Adam Cole is the devil, so done. She had already voted, actually, so she really won, but because I made everyone do a vote ahead of time. But she had voted. She was like, it's Adam Cole. And then he came out. She was like, it's Adam Cole. And I was like, don't you think that, especially at the end, when Adam Cole is in the ring, like comforting MJF and being like, you tried so hard and you did your best. I was like, don't you think that the only explanation for any of this farce, if Adam Cole is the devil, is that he's a literal sociopath? And everyone in the room was just like, yeah, sure. Yeah.
I mean, I agree with you because it's just like, yeah, I mean, he spent the entire match cheering and you know, being so vocally on MJF's side. And it's like, what is wrong with you in your head? What is wrong
just
with
not be friends with someone. But actually, I do love heel Adam Cole. And it does feel right when it's like, it is his nature. He has to sting. Like, so in that sense, fine. And I hope that, maybe what I hope is that we don't have a lot going on with this too much going forward because
that's my hope as well. Yeah.
So Adam Cole did do this explanation, and then the segment ended up being interrupted by Jay White.
Did you guys? Sorry to interrupt. Did you guys think it was interesting that he didn't address whether or not he was ever actually friends with MJF? Like
he did.
I thought he like didn't say one way or the other, which probably is for the best just to leave it all in the past. But I did think it was kind of weird.
I think it's got to be, like, the way that it really works. I mean, I'm not saying it really works.
Doesn't work.
If you want to make it work, it kind of should just be that it's like he was friends with him, but it's like two scorpions can't be friends. Like, so it's like you hurt before you get hurt. And, of course, he's never going to say, like, anything about any real feelings he ever had.
Yeah, I mean, like, again, like, I don't really know the Adam Cole lore, but as I understand it, that has been his, like, thing. Like, and apparently he did this exact thing to Kyle O'Reilly, where, like, he betrayed Kyle O'Reilly after pretending to be, like, good friends, so.
Adam Cole, bad boy.
Bad boy.
Bad boy. Well, he got interrupted by Jay White, who was also mad about how he came out of the MJF stuff, which is fairly reasonable. So the Guns came out with him, although I don't know what he wanted to do in this moment, to be honest, but the Guns came out with him. Oh, no. I can't put these pieces together right now. Anyway, Wardlow got Cole out of the ring, so then you've got Jay White and the Guns, and then the Acclaimed and Daddy Ass ran out as well because they got beat up by the Devil, so I guess they wanted to beat up Adam Cole. Maybe.
Has the Acclaimed have they been hurt this whole time? Is that where they've been? They've just been recuperating from the Devil?
They fought
Top
Flight recently, yeah.
Oh, did they?
Yeah.
I didn't see the match, but I believe that that's what happened. I don't think this has been our tightest segment, but I don't think it's our fault. You know?
It's not our fault. It's not
No.
our fault. We're doing really good with the material that we've been handed.
Yeah, we're doing our best for sure. We couldn't do better than this. I don't think under the circumstances.
Hey, Social Suplex listeners, this is the best it gets. Yeah.
Well, we can do better when we move on to other topics that excite us more. But I don't know. Like, what do you think is going to happen now? It's like now we have this group. It's the Undisputed group, I believe. Undisputed 2.0 or something, you know. What's going on? What do you think there is going to happen here? Oh, Adam Cole did the other thing where he was like, Wardlow's going to go for the belt. But then when my foot is better, then he'll forfeit the belt to me. And Wardlow like openly rolled his eyes. And it was like, yeah, I know this room. I've walked this floor. It's never been what I would call like the most. No, when Christian and Luchasaurus did it, it was really fun. So I maybe.
Yeah. Christian kind of makes everything pretty fun
Christian
in a way
makes
that other
fun.
people, you know.
Yeah, it's like that's maybe not an act you want to follow, but I don't know. What do you think?
Yeah, it's one of these things where it's like, hopefully this just like becomes a smaller storyline that like moves forward at a normal pace. Like my fear with this is like Adam Cole is still injured, but he's having all these feuds with people. So like hopefully we don't just stall out constantly still, but hopefully they'll move it along.
The thing is that, like, not to sound like One Nation Radio, but now it's no longer in the title picture. You know what I mean? Like, it's not going to close the show. You know, it's not going to be, like, driving the entire show. Now it's going to become, like, even if Adam Cole is on every week crutching around, it's still, like, he's not going to get the time that he would have got when he was with MJF.
It has been, I will say, a learning experience to live through the MJF reign and kind of start to understand, like, no, I don't personally care about belts, but I do care about what closes the show. And the belt often defines what closes the show or what's getting the time. So now I understand why I have to care about belts, because I can't have fun, silly things should start the show, but dramatic, crazy things should finish good. And they should be good. They should not be bad. So I love
when
belts
it's bad,
now.
we don't like it. So
We like it when it's good.
It's got to be good.
Make the show good, and I'll love the show. I mean, that's
hey, Tony, could you make the show good? Well, he did this week. This was a great time.
He did.
I mean, it actually was dope. And Leah, you had made a good point in your notes that it was like, well, you can make your own point about the fact that did he have any choice but to open the show with this kind of, here's what you missed ugly.
Yeah, I mean, it's like he had to be the connecting tissue between 2023 and 2024. Like I think he just like it had to happen, so it happened.
I know. We're just so into this segment. It's like, yeah, did we eat shit? Yeah, but we had to because they had started feeding us shit and it was just kept coming in. So, like, yeah, I mean, I'm not mad about it, I guess.
No, it's not, eat shit is not right. We're on Yellow Jackets and it's like, did we eat? Yeah, it had to happen, so it happened. Can you just bleep the spoiler part? Perfect. So, okay, well, it had to happen, so it happened. So I don't think we have anything else to say about it. Let's move on to the Continental Classic.
Yeah.
Okay,
Connie.
so
R.I.P.
Oh, R.I.P. Connie. But Connie, we're missing you. We can't wait to have you back next year.
Yeah.
So because of our week off, we actually we had a bit of a Connie backlog, like matches that we didn't end up discussing on the podcast. Long story short, Mox won the Gold League three-way that none of them wanted. They didn't want to have a three-way, but they had it, and Mox pinned Jay White. Eddie beat Bryan Danielson in the Blue League semifinals, and then Eddie and Mox fought at the PPV, and Eddie won. And he won all of his life's work, his three beautiful belts, and it was such a good match.
It was so good. Those guys, I mean, they just bring such an energy. Like the way they stare at each other, it's so like intense, and I was so sleepy by this point in the pay-per-view, and they like woke me up the way nobody else could have.
I was riveted.
It brought me
I
to life.
especially liked every single time that like one of them would do like a bad boy move and the other person would hold up their arms like what the hell in this way that was just like, you're gonna start with me right now? Is that what you're pulling on me right now? And it was just like definitely like I have fought you 1 million times and I know how your mind works, and we're playing chess in our heads where you're gonna do this and I'm gonna do this, and it's like, I don't know, I just liked it so much where I was like, they really like each other.
Yeah.
The whole thing felt like that promo where they just started yelling at each other and being like, you always do this, like always this with you. And it's like, this is like a deeply like married, divorced, remarried match, which I love.
They're the realest guys on TV. I mean, they just rock.
Yeah. It's
and
incredible.
Then to end, like it felt so good. Like the Eddie win felt so good, but then to end with like that moment where you're like, okay, are they going to do some big dramatic angle where it's like Mox is mad at him, and it's like Mox, of course, just fucking hugs him, like, and because it's like Mox doesn't. It's like about how good the fight was for Mox.
Yeah.
That was so sweet, and Eddie just like beaming, and like Eddie's never beaten Mox before or Bryan Danielson before, so it was like you could really see on Eddie's face like just how meaningful the whole thing was, which was incredible.
Jon Moxley put his whole pussy into that hug. Like that was like they were pressed together from cheek to toe. Like they were unbelievable.
That whole match, the ways they were touching each other, it was just cradling each other's bodies.
Perfect body on body action. Just a perfect interaction of bodies, I would say.
Really some real sports space presentation, I would say.
that is the kind of sports-based presentation that we want to see year-round. Please and thank you. Any thoughts about? Oh my God! It's like now you want me to come back from that and say like any thoughts about the other matches leading to it? It's like they were good, but it just like we got to the exact place that we wanted to go and we knew we were going, but it was so satisfying to go there, and then it was perfect.
Yeah, the thing about the Connie to me, it was like looking at all of it. It's like the storylines were very predictable from a certain like from after round one, basically, where you're like, oh, you've got an Eddie comeback story, like it's going towards like an Eddie Mox final. You've got like beating Bryan Danielson again. You've got Mox and Swerve stuff happening. But to me, it felt predictable in the way where it's like a rom-com is predictable, where it's like this is the way the story beats are supposed to hit, and it's like when you do it right, it's perfect. And like to me, the story is like just hit well, where it was like, yes, this is the way this sport should go.
Right. And again, it's like, this is why people are watching Miracle. This is why people are, what are other sports movies? Why are the only ones I can ever think of are Miracle and the Mighty
hockey,
Ducks?
Yeah.
It's only hockey movies.
Is Rudy the name of the movie?
Rudy, yeah.
Rudy, yeah.
Remember the Titans? There's just
Rocky?
Rocky.
Rocky.
That's boxing.
He loses, I think, right? I haven't seen Rocky. Actually.
This isn't going well for us, so I think we better move on. But yeah, it has the beats. It has the beats of a rom-com / a sports film.
Sort of a fever pitch starring Jimmy Fallon and Drew Barrymore, I think. Yeah.
That's one that I have not rewatched.
I mean, it's not a good movie, I don't think.
No, unfortunate. They should have done more chemistry testing. I mean, as always,
they should have.
It's like,
well, and the problem
no
with that
one's
one
doing
is
it anymore.
They just get together pretty early on, and then it's just like.
Well, there's
not really a plot
conflict of the movie? There's something about the Red Sox.
I think it's just like he likes the Red Sox too much. Yeah, and then it's like, are the Red Sox going to win? But it happened to come out the year that the Red Sox did win. So like they had to, I think, change the ending.
That's crazy.
Yeah, pretty wild actually.
Alrighty. And you reminded us of the Mox Eddie promo that we got ahead of this match.
Yeah, I mean, these guys are so good at promos, it's crazy. And then Mox like yelled at Eddie, like, you've sure got a lot of people who love you, which Eddie
like
would
for
hate
someone
to have
who's
said
so
about him.
Angry or something, or like for someone who's so convinced that he's not worth anything or something like that. You sure have a lot of people who love you, which is just like, it's like the sickest I'm over here bawling line of all time.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
After, I think like the morning of the pay-per-view, someone linked to Eddie's Player Tribune article from his last big pay-per-view match, and I reread it and got like really teary-eyed again, because like that whole part where he was like talking about like Cody like trying him out, and he was just about to like lose his house, and he's like, it was a dream and I'm still trying to wake up from it, and I'm like, Jesus Christ.
Every time Eddie, I know. And like his face at the end of that match, it was just like, you can just see that this guy like thought he was like out of wrestling, gonna lose his house, sell his gear or whatever, like not very long ago, 4 years ago or something. It's wild.
Yeah. Who was it? I think was it Filthy Tom Lawler tweeted something like, this is the first time I've seen Eddie get new gear since 2006.
Yeah.
Something like that.
I mean, it looked good. It was still, it was pretty similar to the old gear, but it was
pretty similar.
Exciting to see.
Oh my God. Allie, you should discuss your project gear idea.
Oh my God. Well, this was, we watched the pay-per-view with Sarah's sister. This is a crazy point to bring this up, but I see why it happened. We had an idea for a Project Runway. It was really just for an episode of Project Runway, but you could turn it into a full-fledged show that crosses over with professional wrestling, where you have the aspiring designers are designing wrestling gear.
That'd be
and
incredible.
They each are assigned a wrestler, so they're designing the gear. But then the twist is that actually the second half of the two-part episode or whatever is a full pay-per-view where they're all wearing the gear, and then
see how it
looks, how it holds up,
if
whether
it falls
you have
off them in the middle,
exactly, whether you have any wardrobe malfunctions, and so then the designers are getting rated both on the gear and how it performed and how well it worked for the story that the wrestler was telling.
Ooh. That would honestly be a killer episode of Project Runway.
Wouldn't it be so good?
It would be so good.
Free idea, Tim Gunn. It's a good challenge. Is that show still in the air? No, it can't be. Is it?
I don't know. I don't know. So I share custody of that idea with Megan. Shout out to Megan. I think that we might have talked through a match that others were trying to watch because we were so excited about that one. Okay. Let's move on to. We'll just briefly touch on what the rest of the Connie participants did at the pay-per-view. So Miro and Andrade. Miro wasn't in the. Andrade was. Miro, you get it. Miro and Andrade fought over the right of Miro's wife to work outside the home. And Miro won because it turned out that Andrade the day before had finally fished his wish and gotten out of his contract. So then right after the pay-per-view, it's like Tony was at the scrum being like, yeah, Andrade's definitely great and so good to have him and he's not going here anymore. And Andrade tweeted being like, I've loved my time at AEW. Goodbye, my friend. It's like, you bitch, you have not.
He was much nicer in that tweet than I really anticipated from him.
Yeah.
But my God. Yeah. The fact that Andrade got so many wins in the Connie as he was finding
Absolutely
a loophole.
crazy.
Whatever.
Absolutely
TK,
crazy.
get your house in order. Ridiculous.
We're well rid of a man who, for whatever reason, didn't want to be here. And, I was prepared to love him, but I don't love him. So I guess let's move on.
I hope he takes the rest of them with him.
I
Malachi
know.
Black.
Get him out of there. They do poison.
going.
They do poison the pot.
They do.
Poison when you have a stew and the flavors are all mixing together. You can't have poison in the stew.
I've heard that one bad apple spoils all the apples.
I hadn't heard it that way, but now that you've said it, that is such a good point. I feel more comfortable if we just talk about stew.
Yeah, I would say more iconically, we say a little poison in the stew makes a poisoned stew.
Our
Over
classic
here,
stew metaphors.
I'm literally trying to argue for myself in my head. I'm like, I actually think it's really smart to say it's like if the mushrooms are poisoned, you put them in the stew and then everything soaks together. Allie. Look, we're a stew podcast. It's our food that we like to discuss. But you're so right about if you made stewed apples and one of them was bad, the whole thing would be bad.
Totally.
But sometimes you use kind of bad apples to make stewed apples because they turn out okay when you cook them that way.
Well,
that's such a good point, Allie.
I mean, so maybe if we really cooked Andrade for a while, it would have been all right.
Tony,
maybe that's why Tony was
turn
giving
up
him all
the
those
flame,
wins.
Tony.
He was cooking him, letting him cook.
We needed to be cooking low and slow for a lot longer. Whatever, he's gone now. And then the rest of the men who participated in the Connie had an 8-man that opened the pay-per-view. So that was Danielson, Claudio, and Danny Garcia, and Mark Briscoe versus Jay White, Roosh, Jay Lethal, and Brody King. We were told this was, by multiple people, said this was faces versus heels. But that is crazy to me, and it's not.
It is fully crazy. None of these men are good men.
No, so you have one true face in there. It's Mark Briscoe.
Briscoe, yeah, he's the only one.
Everybody else is a heel. Every other person is a heel. I don't know what we were doing here.
Yeah. So whatever. But that was a fun match. Garcia ended up pinning Jay Lethal. So Jay Lethal had basically -1 in the Connie is where he ended up.
I actually kind of like him better after all that. I'm like, oh, Jay Lethal, now I understand what you're for. Great.
Yeah.
This had to happen to someone, and it had to be you. It had to happen.
It did have to be him.
I still don't understand what Garcia's story was. I've now listened to multiple podcasts where people are complimenting him and being like, he had such a good story. And I'm like, yeah, Daniel Garcia is my son and he did a fabulous job. And of course I was riveted the entire time. But explain to me
No,
his
you
path.
can't.
To explain to me where he started and where he ended and what journey he went on.
Cannot.
'Cause I
He
can't tell you
started
that made any
dancing.
sense.
He's still dancing.
He's
And
still dancing.
I like
Yeah.
when
The
the men
dancing-
dance.
No, I
Yeah.
like it. The dancing did not hurt or help his
No.
his successes. He didn't beat Brody King with the dancing. He didn't beat Bryan Danielson not dancing. What did it mean? And then why did Bryan Danielson give him the kind of look like he was like, oh shit, I forgot you existed. Did I ever text you back?
Right. It's
Daniel
like,
Garcia,
I
I just
mean-
forgot about
you were meditating and crying about this boy like a week ago. Like,
Yeah.
I didn't know if he were mad at him or Daniel Garcia mad at him or Daniel Garcia like was doing a little bit of a like, I walk my own path now, Bryan Danielson. And it's like, yeah. And then he goes out with his dad, Matt Menard. So it's like, you know, it's
Yeah.
not, I'm not complaining, but I do think it's nonsense. I do
It
not
sounds
think
like-
it makes
and-
sense.
Not to, I mean, like, I don't want to discuss the whole match, but just to say something about the end of our next
it.
section. When Daniel Garcia started getting beat up in his Dynamite match, I was like, oh, Bryan Danielson's going to come out and save him, and this is going to start something
Yeah.
here. But then somebody else we'll get to came out, and I was like, why did that happen?
Classic Bryan Danielson, absentee father, just not happening.
The way I'll say this, I straight up don't even know what you just referenced. Like, I'm looking at the
Yeah, I
schedule
don't
that
either.
I'll be presenting, and I'm like, I don't know.
Oh, Hangman came out and stopped Swerve. from
Yeah, that
beating
is
up
our
Bryan
next. That
Danielson.
is our next section. That is our next section. All right. I don't think we really have time to get into this, but we will just say that Eddie does have his 3 belts now, and this week on Dynamite, Greg, Brian Keith, Brian Cage, and Vikingo fought for the first title shot, and shockingly, Little Greggy won. Little Greggy
Little
Trumpedo
Greggy.
won.
Greggy won.
I know.
He
It was so
never wins.
exciting.
So proud
I know
of our
it's
sweet boy.
he's just going to be the first one fed to any, but I'm still so proud of him.
But he feeds so nice. Like I'm in a
Yeah.
really good mood with Tony about Greg right now because Greg was in the battle royale in the 0 hour of the pay-per-view, and it was like he didn't win, but it was a really good ending.
was a
Like
good
it was
showing.
really
Yeah.
fun.
It was
so
really fun.
I'm like, as long as Greg gets to do fun wrestling,
Yeah.
and
Yeah.
Did you guys?
I get to see
Did you
him.
guys see that thing where he got sent? I think to maybe New Japan or something.
Yeah.
And Fightful posted it and was like, somebody in the event was like, why did they send me Trent Beretta? And like, Greg
Send me someone
retweeted
good
it.
next time. Yeah.
Yeah, it was like, who the hell wrote this article? And Tony replied to him and was like, and I sent him my favorite guy.
yeah, and it's true.
Yeah.
So now we just have to get Dustin back, and then they'll be
Yeah.
our hearts will be light again. But
surely we're close to getting Dustin back, right? We've got to get Dustin Chuck Taylor back.
Can we just send a doctor to do a house call? Just
I'd
check
love,
on him.
I'd love to get a little look at his
I love
X-rays.
a physical and a mental health doctor to just go check in with them. Okay. We will move on to the section that I forgot was coming up. Thank you, Leah. So Swerve Strickland was supposed to fight Keith Lee at the pay-per-view, but he didn't. And why is that? We don't know. And do the dirt sheets know? Maybe or maybe not. Keith Lee might have been injured, but he might have been pretending to be injured. But somebody on Twitter, he said on Twitter, I've been very injured. And then someone said, so that's why Keith Lee hasn't been fighting that much. So you guys should pay attention to that and stop complaining about it. And Keith Lee said, wrong.
Yeah.
Like,
What the
okay.
hell? Yeah.
I don't know, man. Are you injured or not? But
The things
is
wrestlers
exactly
get up on
like-
Twitter.
Yeah, it's exactly like Malachi Black. Somebody was like, Malachi Black's been injured. That's why he hasn't been wrestling. And Malachi Black was like, I don't know why everybody thinks I was injured. And then it was like a ton of screenshots where Malachi Black was like, I'm injured.
Jesus God. I really don't understand what's happening with these men, and I don't know what the truth is. What I know is that Swerve ended up fighting Dustin Rhodes instead, which is funny to us because we just have no history with Dustin Rhodes except for anyway. And so Swerve was really upset. I mean, like the energy
Yeah.
of the match was cold.
He was
Swerve
furious.
was gonna commit
Yeah.
a murder. It's like, oh,
He
Dustin
was-
Rhodes is
yeah.
just in the crossfires of.
I was genuinely worried for Dustin Rhodes. Like, I feel nothing for that man, but I was like, oh, you shouldn't die. And I think he's gonna die tonight.
Don't kill that old man, and everyone was very happily cheering him killing the old man.
Oh yeah, everyone
The
was
man with his
craziest
broken
thing
leg.
that I learned during that match was that Dustin Rhodes isn't 65. He's 53.
Yeah, that's
He's-
like Chris Jericho's age, isn't it?
I guess, like, in my mind, actually, I never worried for his health and well-being in that match because I was kind of like, yeah, if anyone ever, like, hit Dustin Rhodes too hard, it would be like a scene in a movie where, like, a toddler is really, really mad at his dad, but then the dad just hugs him and holds him anyway to be like, I love you. And then the kid calms down and starts crying. I'm like, that's what it's like before he dies, that's what would happen instead because he's 70.
I love thinking about Dustin Rhodes just grabbing Swerve and just being like, it's not your fault. I still love you.
Just holding him tight. I know you're very upset about the Keith Lee
I
situation.
know you're
but
mad. I know
You're
you're
having
mad at
some
Keith
big
Lee.
feelings. Yeah.
Come here. Give me a hug. It's okay.
He's doing some gentle parenting. Yeah.
Swerve is
There's,
hitting
like-
him, and he's like, that's okay. I still love
It's okay.
I
I
still
still love you. There's gonna be like 50 pay-per-views this year. You'll get another one.
another
about
one.
it.
Yeah.
You get another one.
It's all coming up Swerve this year. And it is
It
all
sure
coming up
is.
Swerve this year. Because what happened on number 1 Dynamite of the year? Swerve and what happened? Swerve and Danny Garcia main event. And they just do that. They do
What did they do,
What
Allie?
did they do, Allie? Allie, say what they did.
Say it.
Guys, they do what they need to do.
What needed to be done.
It had to happen, and it happened. They made music with their bodies.
Music is not what I thought you were going to say.
They made a certain kind of music. They had.
I'm immediately singing the song from All Dogs Go to Heaven. Let's make music together.
It is as a tweet that I read today said, as the French say, "Le petit unalive," and that's. So if you know what's happening here, then you know. So sexy, such a good, sexy, erotic, sensual, erotic match.
It was wild.
Yeah.
Swerve has really stepped up his game in so many regards, and I would say his sexual game has really.
Is he wearing that eyeliner all the time now? It's so good.
He didn't used to
so
wear it, right?
good.
I was like, I
don't
feel like I
think
would have
so.
noticed it a year
Listen,
ago,
I don't
but
think he
I.
wore it with Hangman anyways, and that's
I don't
definitely
know.
when I started laser tracking every movement.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I don't know exactly what he's using, but it's like you can just see like his eyes are really highlighted. They're just like
Yeah.
really popping.
Yeah.
It's really, I do feel like he's like, oh, there's a certain kind of fan that I can pander to, and he's really pandering to us, and
Yeah.
that's
It's
why
never
Swerve's
happened to
my
me before.
favorite. No,
Yeah.
it's
We
incredible.
love it.
Unbelievable.
It's
We
like,
love
do men feel like this all the time? Just in
I
every
think
piece
so,
of media
and
they
that's why
watch?
they
So
go so
powerful.
loco in their brains. Like,
Yeah.
you can't have. I can see how you can't have too much of this. It's a very
No.
rich dessert. Okay,
Feels great.
Yeah.
And then, like, if
Yeah.
people start cutting into it, you're like, there's one movie aimed at women. You're like, what the hell? I didn't like this at all. Like, I could see
Yeah.
how I could get high on that.
Yeah, I guess men are justified.
Yeah.
I guess they've been justified this whole
Sweet little
time.
guys.
Wow. Yeah, so they fight. So good. Swerve won. Now, Leah, I think you remember what happened here better than I do because I had half thought that the show was over. We were like 6 minutes over.
Yeah.
Like we had
Yeah.
a big overrun. So I kind of zoned out and then all of a sudden just heard Hangman music and I was back. But you know what preceded that.
Yeah, so Swerve won, but then like he still started beating up Daniel Garcia, and it was like, well, this is sore loser behavior, Swerve. But so there was just like this moment where it was like, well, what's gonna happen? And Daddy Magic jumped into the ring, but then Daddy Magic got beat up too, and it was just like, oh well, you didn't do a very good job of defending yourself. And so like I was convinced, I was like, Bryan Danielson is going to come out. He's going to save Daniel Garcia, and it's going to kick off something there, and I was excited, and then it was Hangman's music, and I had to have like a really like weird moment where I was like, no, I'm happy about this. I had like a moment where I was like, oh, it's not Bryan Danielson, which just never happened to me in my life. I've never been like, oh, it wasn't Bryan Danielson. Like, I had to like,
our resident Bryan Danielson
the car
hating
around
hater.
and be like, no, Hangman. And then I saw that fucking mustache and was like,
Oh my God.
Okay. Like,
Well, listen, I clocked that mustache early. He had a brief backstage segment early in the show. The second I saw that mustache, I said to myself, "Awooga!" I said, "I like what I'm seeing."
I believe what you typed into our group chat is he's stomping out of the 70s and into my heart.
I did say that, and I stand by it. So, what a look. I mean...
Yeah. You really just don't see that kind of look anymore, and it's got to take a little bit of effort to trim the beard back to really let the angry mustache pop. Loved it.
Did you see the Butcher was like, he has to just shave the whole beard. He's really got to go full mustache. I've been telling him.
I didn't
I love the
Butcher. He and Swerve, little face-to-face, little kissing pose, and then mega fighting, just wailing on each other. They sent out every spare security guard they had to break these guys up, but they were still trying to get at each other so hard. And Swerve, of course, had been saying throughout the show, this is my year, I will be getting the belt. And Hangman is just howling, "You will never have it," at him, which is so hot.
So hot.
So hot. It's incredible. I never thought they were going to put these guys back together so soon. Like, I thought they would have like a years-long thing, but I was like not hoping for this at all. I thought there would be a refractory period, but there's not. No. We're just going for it.
Right back in there.
Whew.
I did crack my shit up because the security guards got them separated, but then the side that had Hangman lost their grip on him, and Hangman dove at Swerve and was swinging, and they like, because of where the camera was, it was close up on one security guard who just very clearly was like, oh, I don't get paid enough for this, and like kind of like backed away and was like, no, thank you.
Wow. I'm just so happy. I don't know what's going to happen. And probably we don't really have that much time to speculate about it, but I'm just so happy that it's like these men are in the title scene. Like, because what did Joe call both of them out in his pre-tape?
Yeah.
He did, right? Yeah. So it's like they're both in the mix and they're mad at each other and they want the belt, and Hangman wants... It's like, it's very sexy for Hangman not to be like, I want the belt, to just be like, I don't want you to have the belt.
Yeah.
Which I just love.
Yeah.
Well, someone was suggesting, and I'm so sorry if it was One Nation Radio, if I'm stealing from, but I can't remember, that
we're on a network together now, so
yeah, what's their opinions are our opinions, and they're of course welcome to our opinions.
Yeah, you're welcome.
Like
Any of these great opinions we've been espousing, please feel free to borrow.
But if Swerve takes it off Joe, and then Hangman takes it off Swerve, hello?
Oh, that would be so erotic.
Yeah.
Man. And Swerve went on Freddie Prinze Jr.'s podcast this week and talked about motivations and how they built the Hangman feud in a way that was so erotic. And also, I like actually went and listened to it. I didn't just read the thing. And like, it was funny because Swerve was talking all about that, and then Freddie Prinze Jr. was like, "It's so funny, you sound just like Adam Copeland. Like, he really took me under his wing at like WWE and like taught me about like motivation and building a match." And Swerve was like, "Oh yeah, he's my mentor. Like, I'm just like, that's why I sound so much like him."
I was so like, surprised when I read that. Because I just didn't know. Like, some of the mentor situations are so clear, based on what you see in the on-screen product. But I didn't know that, and I loved it. It made me think really highly of Adam Copeland.
I know. I was like, wow. Well, Adam Copeland knows what he's doing, because this is like a fantastic, like, I love to hear it from Swerve.
Yeah. We should link to that quote, maybe.
Yeah, we should. But it's crazy that it's the exact wording that we always say, where it's like Swerve is like, Hangman and I sat down and we said, why are we doing this? How do we feel? What are we trying to achieve here? And I'm like, oh my God.
I know.
Everything we're always asking.
Please, like, know what you want and why you're doing it. I know. And then he also talked about how he and Hangman like took down wrestling tropes, because they weren't like just being like a heel face situation. It was like they were two guys like wanting revenge and stuff. And I was like, thank you. Please tell the wrestling people who keep talking about how Swerve, like the weird stuff they were saying about him being a babyface when he was doing like horror movie stuff.
Yeah.
It's like,
it's a mix. It's
reassuring.
a mix.
It's a mix. Yeah.
Someone get Dave on the line and say, Dave, just because a man staples himself in the chest
doesn't make him a babyface.
Doesn't necessarily make him a babyface. I think it's very fun to know that they are actively playing in that space.
Yeah. Loved it.
Yeah, everything about it really great. Okay, let us move on. We don't have to talk about this actually, except that I do just want to say, so OC fought Dante Martin on Dynamite, and so that was great. That was very fun. It was a good match. But then Private Party came back afterwards because Mark Quinn is healed. And I think we were all surprised about how much we popped for it. We were just like, thank God our children are back.
I had never had any feelings whatsoever about Private Party, but I was suddenly like, oh, like my old AEW Dark friends. And they were calling out like the tag division in ways where I was like, yes.
Yes, someone has to say it.
Mm-hmm. Someone has to say it, yeah. Something about like them coming back and Dante coming back made me feel like, and like 2.0 being back in the tag division made me feel like it was like, maybe we can turn this around and the tag division doesn't have to be singles wrestlers that got picked out of a hat. Like maybe we could have actual tag wrestlers.
It would be so great. Now, I'm going to say this a little tentatively, which I shouldn't. Big Bill and Ricky still have the belts.
Yeah,
they do.
Which, if you notice, Private Party didn't call them out.
No, they
crazy.
They were like, not even worth discussing the situation as it currently stands.
Well, that does make me like them more than ever, and I already liked them quite a bit. Yeah,
they got a big pop too. The crowd was freaking out for Private Party, which I really liked too.
And I think it's like they're coming out, they're calling out, they're being like, we got to get the tag team division back together. They're calling out the bugs. Well, the bugs.
Oh, our young bugs.
Our young bugs. A bug's life. Okay, they're calling out the Bucks, the young Bucks. I was mad at the crowd for like not really giving that a pop. I was like, you eat dirt, because if I don't see the Bucks soon, I'm gonna absolutely flip my absolute shit.
Everybody is on fucking notice because I just found out that Roosh is hurt.
Yeah,
and Roosh was the only thing holding me together.
Yeah,
I know.
Pretty troubled for you.
Have you looked at that? Have you looked at that roster? We gotta find you another mama, another proud mama.
They just need to give me Matt back. They have to give me Matt back.
I know. Well, they gotta be coming soon. I mean,
you would think, boy.
Time's up, boys. Time's up.
Please come home from Maui.
Yeah, you got to get off Maui.
Why could I
Maui?
say that?
Please come home from Maui. I miss you
got
so much.
very young.
Matt Jackson, please come home.
This is a baby talk podcast. Mommy, please come home from Maui. I miss you.
And again, welcome to all our new listeners.
We're so sorry. We won't do it again. Maybe. Okay, let's move on to. I think this was my proudest title, "The Mamas and the Papas Heaven's Gate Remix."
Very nice.
Thank you so much. Okay, so Christian and Cope fought at the pay-per-view. And this was for Christian's TNT title. It was a death match, street fight, something along those lines. It was a prop.
It was some kind of prop match.
Prop party match. So they're bringing out the. I can't believe this crowd got everything they wanted. Like, this crowd immediately, literally, they came out and the crowd starts chanting tables, ladders, fire, which is like tables and ladders. It's like, that's normal, I guess. Fire. And I think we were all sitting there like, well, don't chant for that because it ain't happening. And then next thing you know, everyone is getting set on fire. So I don't know if Adam Copeland is like well known for his love of fire. I guess they did a spot early on that flagged to people, maybe. I don't know. Why am I talking about this? Whatever. Oh, earlier in the night, Luchasaurus had won the 0 Hour Battle Royale, and that was for a shot at the TNT Championship. So Christian lost this match. And I can't remember the details of that. But Christian was so mad after losing that he snatched Luchasaurus's contract and signed it himself and had his fight for the TNT title that Cope now had immediately and pinned him immediately and regained the title immediately. What do you guys think about that?
I thought that was stupid. I really liked the whole match up to that point. Like, I really, really had a great time, and I actually usually have a hard time with props because I'm like, okay, I get it. It's under the ring. I get it. But I really, I was like, are you serious? Like, this is so stupid.
It was stupid. It didn't bother me for some reason. I was just like, well, this is funny. So, sure. And it is funny that Cope now is the shortest reigning TNT title holder at 3 minutes or whatever. It's a good time.
I find that funny. And I also was like, I don't think I really get this, in terms of what it's supposed to achieve and what I should think about, the characters, but I wasn't mad at it. I didn't mind it. So we move on to Dynamite, and Christian Cage gets a little in-ring segment with his whole new family unit he has, which is Christian, the patriarch, Shayna Wayne, the matriarch, now officially the matriarch.
Mother Wayne, yeah.
It's very Mike Pence.
Yeah.
Mother Wayne, Nick, the beloved son, and Killswitch, who is kind of treated like the family's dog, but in an abusive family, the abused family dog. So they cut this This promo is so funny.
It was so funny.
Yeah.
Sometimes I don't
really
fully
funny.
know what Christian is doing that is different than what some other people do, where you're just like, he'll start from a place of this is crazy. Why are you out here? And then I'm like, I don't care. This is a blast. This is so fun.
I know. There's something about his complete commitment to the bit where he's doing something so silly, but he's wearing that black sleeveless turtleneck and he just doesn't seem to see anything not bold and beautiful about it, I don't know.
It's so funny too that he has moved into this new space with this bit where, remember when he was being JB's dad and he was really serious about it, just in a certain way, but not that affected by stuff. It's so funny to be the bit that he's doing now that he's Nick Wayne's father is that he's I literally gave birth to Nick Wayne.
Yeah.
I gave birth to him. And that someone will kick Nick Wayne and Christian's energy is you kick Nick Wayne? You kick
My
him?
child, he's screaming from the ramp.
Jail.
Yeah.
Jail for mother. It's so funny. And what was the thing that was so funny that Shayna Wayne said?
She was
say, rise for mother.
You boo a mother, I think is what she said. Her delivery was not the best, but it was still so funny that she was doing any of it.
It was so funny.
My God.
You boo a mother. And then she did make everyone stand up, and then Christian made them sit down or something. I mean, it just was so fun. And anyway, so then the capper here was just that... Actually, I don't remember if something happened at the end of this, aside from Christian was thanking everyone in his family and being thank you to Mother Wayne, for bearing beautiful Nick Wayne. Thank you to Nick Wayne for being so beautiful and being my son that I also bore. And also thank you. And Killswitch, Luchasaurus was doing this great, drawing himself up I'm so good because I won the Battle Royale. And Christian said, thank you to me. I just love him. So
yeah, something about his delivery because he does those kind of bits that are fairly predictable, but they're still hit so hard. I don't know.
He's just telegraphing it in an inherently comedic way. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Where you're I'm watching a movie. So what do you guys think we have coming down the pikeway with this storyline?
Luchasaurus has got to turn soon, don't you think?
Yeah.
It's got to be coming soon.
I just don't know exactly what it's going to be like, though, because, Luchasaurus does have to turn, and it would kind of make sense for him to turn and be aligned with Adam Copeland, except that I don't think that is what's going to happen because I think that Adam Copeland is going to like end up in the sewers with Christian. So I don't really know.
Well, that's worrying because I don't want the Wardlow thing to happen. Like, I don't think Luchasaurus should ever be like a singles, like a guy on his own. Like, because he can't.
He
like,
needs a family.
He needs a family.
Yeah.
So like, Christian should sell him to Don Callis or something.
Well, maybe JB should come back now that he's a heel and repossess him.
That would be
be
big.
good,
Like,
actually.
If we have a
Luchasaurus
little faction where it's
turned-
the Bucks, Luchasaurus, and JB.
Yeah. And honestly, like Christian and his people like feuding with those guys could be really fun if they
Yeah.
stole
It'd be fun.
Luchasaurus from him.
Oh my god.
Yeah.
I would watch it.
Book it, Tone.
That. I would watch that big time.
I would watch that. She murmured to herself over and over again.
Well, I just thought
watch
about Nick Jackson and Nick Wayne like doing crazy rope shit, and I got a little happy.
Oh my god, I want to see. I want to
Thank
see.
Yeah.
I want
Yeah.
to see.
And Luchasaurus does need to be a minion. It's like it's good
Yeah.
in a lot of ways that Wardlow's back being a minion behind somebody because that's where he belongs, you know.
That's the thing. I can't be that mad about that because I'm sort of like, yeah, it's what we've already seen and we've walked this room, but like I'm like, that is where Wardlow belongs. He
Yeah.
belongs like
I'm not- That's
his
mildly
level.
resentful. He belongs mildly resentful standing behind somebody. Like that's
I'm not mad
That's where he
about it
does
at
his
all.
work.
I'm mad at people who are saying like, look at how he botched Wardlow. Wardlow shouldn't be right back where he started. Yeah, unfortunately he should because he never made it, baby. He
Yeah,
can't
we
pay
found-
his own rent.
We thought for a minute that his level might be above this, but it's not. We discovered that,
not.
and he's back where he
Yeah.
belongs.
There
yeah.
is no
Yeah.
shame in getting a promotion and then saying, I can't do this job. And
Yeah.
you should be allowed to come back down and do the job you were great at.
That's right. Individual contributor. He doesn't
Yes.
need to be in management.
No. No direct reports. Demoted. All right. Are you guys emotionally and physically prepared to discuss what we are
Ooh.
about to discuss? Okay. So at the pay-per-view, and this actually isn't really relevant at all. It's just, I think, why this match happened. Chris Jericho and Sammy Guevara, Darby Allin and Sting fought Big Bill, Ricky Starks, and the Don Callis family and won. And somehow that set up a singles match this week on Dynamite between Darby Allin and Takeshita. And this match psychosexually rewired me. I mean,
Did you
Oh
guys
my
expect
God.
anything out of this match?
No.
I was
I
just
was
like,
excited.
whatever, it
Like,
seems fine.
I
Yeah.
thought I was happy because I was like, I like watching Darby do single stuff more than I like watch. I love that he loves Sting, but I like
Yeah.
his single stuff more than his tag team and like 4-man stuff. So I was excited about that, and I was like, Takeshita is good. We haven't seen him wrestle in a minute. This will be good. I just didn't know that it was going to be so
I thought it
good.
was going to be like a medium good normal match, not something where I was like, my God.
yeah.
It rocked
rewired.
me.
It rocked. Like, I like Takeshita. I like him.
Yeah.
Like, I just didn't know
No.
that he and Darby had crazy chemistry.
Yeah.
The amount, the height that he was throwing Darby in the air was crazy. I was like, this kicks ass. I don't know if we should be encouraging people to do this because it seems bad, but I love to watch
as
it.
I always say about Darby, he needs it. He needs it. He needs it and he
Yeah.
wants it.
Yeah.
Let him have it. And Takeshita said, I absolutely will. It's not, I'm happy to. So he's throwing him. He's landing on his feet. The things that were happening were just so crazy. And it was so visceral. Like, you were just like,
Yeah.
we are in it. Like, this is
Mhm.
real.
It was very like, and the pay-per-view didn't have matches like this. I mean, not really, but this first episode of Dynamite did. Like, all right, love
if
it.
this had been a pay-per-view match, it would have been well worth it. Well worth
Would
it.
have been
worth
really
it.
well worth it. This should have been a pay-per-view match.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's crazy they're
And I
giving
think
it away for free.
We were all staggered. I think one of our friends said that that Darby just tells like big guys, just throw me in the air and I'll figure it out on the way down. Hello?
I mean,
It's wild.
I was like, not to be
Crazy.
problematic, but that's like so hot. That's
It is a little bit like like, you know how like insects can fall really far because they're pretty light and like they don't get a lot of weight behind them. It's like, is Darby so small that he can just fall
kind
long
of floating
distances?
down like a little feather.
Yeah.
I think it's like the combination of that and like just like the cat thing where it's like he just rights himself in the air.
Wild.
Wow.
Guy's got an exoskeleton.
Completely crazy. Yeah, so this was so good. I'd love to watch it again. I'd love to watch it a million times again. This is the week that I start the discourse. Are you guys ready?
So ready.
Why is he going to Everest?
Oh my
Why
God.
is he going to climb Everest?
Stupid.
No one should be climbing Everest, okay?
No.
Yeah.
It's
Bad for the environment. It's exploitive.
exploitative.
Dangerous. Not even cool.
And it's like the fact that it's like you've got the Everest page where it lists all the Western men, the white men who've climbed the mountain, but then it's like a totally separate category to be a Sherpa who's done it like a zillion times.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
It's really fucked up. I'm not trying to cancel him, but I'm just like, it's not even going to give you what you want.
No, I know. It's like, it's one of those times when you're like, oh, right, wrestlers are really stupid. Like, he thinks this is cool, and it hasn't been cool for a really long time.
No, Darby, just don't do it. Just stay and fight, because Takeshita is throwing you higher than Mount Everest. He is throwing you higher in the air.
You're doing art. You're doing beautiful art. Dangerous, beautiful art.
It's so funny sometimes where it's like Sarah's sister Megan was saying, like, sometimes I think you guys are on a different internet than I am. And sometimes I feel like the wrestlers are like that, where I'm like, Darby, haven't you been reading all the stories about how people are leaving their garbage up in Everest? Like, there's a lot of trash being left at base camp. And actually the dead bodies are starting to pile up. And
oh my God.
It's actually not a good situation.
Darby, there's been a lot of think pieces like in the Atlantic about it, actually.
Just check them out.
Darby, are you not on the Atlantic? You should follow them on Twitter.
I think that
there was something recently where I forget who the fuck it was. Some wrestler posted like, oh, I put my picture in an AI thing and like, this is me as like a knight or something. I don't even remember what it was. And all the comments were like, AI is bad, dude. And he was like, oh, I had no idea. And it's like,
that's like the time. Do you remember the time way back when Orange Cassidy was like, should I make an NFT?
Yeah.
And then, and it's like, he's pretty smart, I think. And everybody was immediately like, NFTs are up. And then he was just like, oh, well, no, I won't make an NFT. And it's like, you weren't even sure. You were like, I don't know how seriously you were taking this. But even the smartest wrestler can say the stupidest thing that you're right. It does feel like, aren't you on my internet? Like, can't you see what I see?
They're just like reading websites about cutting and steroid cycles and protein powders. I don't know.
I'm trying to think now, do we think that it would be unethical for Darby to get really into like those like deep sea spelunking stuff? Like, I actually think it might be like more dangerous, and probably he shouldn't do it, and I shouldn't even verbalize it as an option.
He is going to get imploded, but it would be less problematic. Yeah.
Yeah. Or it's like did you read that piece about, it's like they're doing the deep sea diving, but it's like if you lose your sense of direction, then it's like you can just never get back up.
Yeah.
I'm quite terrified of sort of deep sea stuff.
Darby, don't do that, but don't climb Everest either, you know?
Yeah.
I'm also scared, but in a way that I can't stop. So I click on all of them.
I read them all.
All of it. Like, and I underwater cave diving is one of those things that I'm like, yes.
Cave diving. Did you read that article someone linked like a while back where they like did diving like inside of icebergs, but like almost died, and then they went in again? It was like, you guys are so stupid. Why would you do
stupid. That? Yeah. There's a post that goes around, and every single time I lose it because it's just a picture of like Homer Simpson in like cuddled up in bed, and the caption is me. This is how I sleep when I think about how I'll never go cave diving, and I'm like, that's me every time I read those articles. I read them so closely, and I'm like, and I will never do that. So you guys are idiots. You chose to be here.
Caving in general is terrifying, and underwater is like 10 times more.
I know.
Darby could also start going caving. I mean,
well, I did just imagine him in the horror movie The Descent, which we've discussed on the podcast before, and I was like, I think he'd make it out. Like, I think that he would survive.
I do think Darby could survive a lot of things, yeah.
Do you guys? Now,
Yeah.
I'm going to say something that could not be less on topic, really. I mean, just kind of it is, and it's like, should I say it? I don't know, cut it later. But wouldn't you love to watch a version of The Terror, but it's all our favorite wrestlers?
Yeah, I don't think they do well, for sure. Yeah.
No one,
Okay,
but no
so
one
they're
does
on a
on
ship.
The Terror.
They're on a ship and a monster's stalking them.
And it's trapped in the ice, and they are only eating it's canned meat with lead in it.
Yeah. I don't think that they would do great.
Brian
No.
Cage
Oh
would
my
go
God.
so loco.
I'd
Oh
watch
my
them in
God,
a
and-
version of Yellow Jackets, too.
Yeah, for sure.
But like if the part of scurvy where your old wounds start opening
Oh,
again.
God.
Hello?
Ugh, stop.
Hello?
My
No.
God. Leah,
No.
you just wrote a little one-sentence horror movie.
Yeah, seriously, wrestlers in the part of scurvy where your old wounds open, they're all like just bleeding from their whole bodies. God.
Everywhere
God.
they've ever bladed. Hello?
Oh
am
my
I
God.
making up that someone on The Terror had a little monkey as a pet?
Yeah, no, Franklin did.
I would cast one of the wrestlers as the monkey too. I don't know who.
A Luchasaurus or
Luchasaurus, the little monkey. Yeah.
the little monkey, yeah. Little Marco stunt.
All right. Well, so that was a great match, and I'd love to see it again. And I hope I do. Okay. Finally, we have a little new women alert here. So Mariah May finally had her first match against Queen Aminata. First impressions?
Of
Yeah, it
Mariah
was-
or Queen Aminata?
We've met Queen Aminata before of Mariah's
so.
wrestling.
Yeah. It was good.
It was okay. I thought like multiple people had said like, "Oh, you're really gonna like her. She's like a really good wrestler. Once she finally gets in there, you're gonna like her." I thought she was okay. She wasn't like it wasn't like one of those things where I was like, "Oh, like this is
Yeah.
gonna change the women's division." But she clearly knows how to wrestle, which like as much as I love our women, some of them do not. So that's nice.
Yeah, it's true. It's like she was good, like better than average, but yeah, it wasn't like, wow, my mind's been I didn't get rewired in this one, unfortunately.
I think it's difficult for me to get rewired for a woman before I've seen her in the final girl fight where it's like she's tearing into someone and she clearly doesn't care about how she looks at all, and it's just like so visceral. I feel like once I've seen a wrestler do that like especially the women, unfortunately, because they have to get so made up because that's the culture. Like it's just not what I like. It makes me feel kind of bummed out. But then once I've seen them have like a really visceral fight where they just look bedraggled, then I'm like, that's my daughter forever. That's my wife. That's my daughter. I would die for you. So I'm gonna have to see that from her before I can really like go all in.
Yeah, I agree.
I agree.
So she won this match, and then she was celebrating, and it was interrupted by a debut. So we have met this woman before, I think on Dynamite. Her name is Deonna Purrazzo. Does that sound right?
So.
Yes. And she's coming to us from Impact.
I think Impact. I saw her at the Impact pay-per-view in person when I went, and she was cool. So
I forgot you went to the Impact
psyched.
pay-per-view.
I know. I kind of forget. I did. It was fun though.
So she came out and she did a little promo deal in the ring with Mariah May. And I was actually quite charmed. I couldn't tell if it was just her normal voice. And so I'm sorry to call her out, but she sounded so nervous. Like her voice was so wavery. And I found that so sweet. And I was like, oh, immediately I'm quite endeared to you.
Whenever anyone sounds nervous, like giving a big presentation or something, I'm immediately like rooting for them so hard. I'm like, oh, you're doing great. Like
You're doing
I'm on your
amazing.
side. Yeah.
Yeah, so I really liked her. I don't think I got like a big sense of who she is. I mean, that's something about a lot of debuts when they come out for the and she got a big pop, and it was like, kind of like her hometown area, I think. So that's really nice. But when they come out and they're just like, it's my time and I'm here, and all the wrestlers do it. I'm not even knocking it. But it's hard to take that much away from it. You're just kind of like, well, it may be. I can't wait to find out who you are and what your time is.
There is a certain kind of promo where you're like, well, that was nothing. Yeah. But
we'll see. Yeah.
We'll see.
No,
yeah.
but like, I mean, the only real thing that I know about her is that she's very good friends with Britt. And like, I could be really into a feud that's like Tony and Mariah against Deonna and Britt. Like, that could be really fun.
Yeah.
Bring Britt
It is
back.
fun. It's fun when people have histories, you know. It's like I hope Deonna Purrazzo's been roommates with someone, you know.
Oh,
like
surely. I hope it did not end amicably.
Yeah, let's get in there.
Yeah, we did have that. We did have that little like Brit kayfabe interview that came out today, where like, well, I don't even know what was happening in this interview, but I guess she was like, well, people said they wanted to see less of me, so they've seen less of me, and that's why I haven't been around. And I guess eventually someone's going to have to come clean up the mess, and that'll be me. And I was just like, oh, I miss you so much. I do really miss you quite a bit.
I do miss
It
Brit.
wasn't me, Britt. I didn't say that I wanted
No.
to interview.
I never said you should go away. So I don't know. Hopefully she's doing well, and she'll come back and hang out with her friend. Do you want to give these women scores? We haven't done scores in a while. Who else would I put someone else in this episode who we maybe needed to give a score to, but I don't know who.
Oh, I think it was Brian Keith, but I feel like I've barely.
Brian Keith, you've been doing great.
Honest.
I haven't seen you foregrounded, but in the background, I've been loving your stuff. Let's leave it there. You want to give the women scores?
Sure, why not?
This is misogyny. Women get scored. Men get away with it.
Men get a loving what you're doing in the background, buddy. So want to do Mariah May?
Yeah.
I'm probably at like a 5. I'm like at a pure neutral with her. I just I don't. I got nothing.
I think that's right. It's like not a negative. Like I'm not down at her at all. I'm just in a holding zone where I'm like, show me something that I'm into.
Yeah.
And I will be into it. My heart is open. But she hasn't shown me anything I can get to, so.
And she is fighting the thing where it's like, oh, she's made up a lot and she's very pretty and blonde. And so it's like, well, yeah, if you looked a little rougher, I would probably be more interested, unfortunately.
My God. I mean, I'll say it 1,000 times. Just come out and look a little like she had a bad night. That's what I want to see.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Did you guys see that, like, Mox, like, wherever he is, Wrestle Kingdom, was like, and I'm trying to get Marina Shafir over here, who is BCC associated. And I was like, yes, Marina Shafir should be in BCC.
Absolutely, she should.
Crazy.
Fantastic. Barefoot in that hoodie. That's what I like to see.
Yeah.
I got to be seeing it more. And then you want to give Deonna a score?
I feel like I shouldn't give her a higher score than Mariah because I haven't even seen her wrestle, but I'm like, Britt likes her, so like.
Yeah. And she sounded so nervous, so she's got an 8 from me. I loved her.
I don't think I'm at an 8. I'll go 6. I'm a 6.
I was also gonna go 6. It's like just a tick above neutral.
I'm an easy grader. You know me.
Love that.
Okay, I think that's all we got. Did I miss anything you guys I think I rushed us through a little, honestly. So if I missed anything you wanted to talk about, I can double back.
Keeping it tight. Love it.
Matt Jackson, please come back to me.
Please.
We're
dying.
So good. I haven't been a bitch on this podcast. I haven't been.
No, she's been really good.
I've been so good. Please come back.
We've all been on our best behavior, but like we've been in the desert for a long time now.
It's been such a long time.
And
we've been like half the length of this podcast we've been in our trials.
Yeah.
There's a fan account, I think, that we all follow that posted like a montage video of just people tweeting Young Bucks come back. And I like got a little teary eyed and I was like, that's right. Young Bucks come back.
Please come back. We need them so bad.
God.
James on One Nation Radio was just
God.
Young Bucks, help me, save me.
I was crying. I have to say, you gotta go watch. You gotta make sure you go watch. You gotta watch the video. I was crying.
Yeah, it's on the Social Suplex YouTube. Look for I think it's like the Elite's first missed pay-per-view or something like
that. It'll be a recent video. You'll find it.
Yeah, it is 100% worth your time. It is so funny.
We can retweet it. That's corporate synergy.
Oh my God, we should. Oh, I did retweet it already. I did retweet it once already.
Damn it, Leah. Why I don't know what we've been doing here for the past few minutes.
The thing is that, like, sometimes I'd just be doing this stuff on the Twitter.
Yeah.
Like, I tweeted at someone the other day, and Sarah DM'd me and was like, I think you meant to do that on your personal Twitter. And I was like, I didn't.
What are you out there saying? What'd you say, Leah?
I think MJ from Waffly Bollocks tweeted about a book that she was reading or something, and I was like, yeah, that's a great book. And Sarah was like, that's not wrestling related. Why is this on your wrestling Twitter? And I was like, well,
I love you.
I don't have a
You got
public
policed
Twitter.
a little bit.
Wrestling
Yeah,
is whatever you want it to be. I think we prove that every day on this podcast.
Absolutely we do. Absolutely we do. Oh my gosh, wait, but can we do, since we were so good and we wrapped up early, can I just quick ask, what's everyone's TV sitch these days, you know? What are we watching?
Oh, yeah. Leah, mental health check-in. What Supernatural episode are you on?
If I'm getting called out, can I say that Allie said, hey, can we turn on Supernatural? And then she
Allie!
willingly watched at least 6 fucking episodes.
But I did say
Wow.
I did say a lot like, wow, this is the worst show I've ever seen.
Oh, sure. Well, if you say that while you're watching 6
No.
episodes, that really
I
balances
think
it.
I'm safe because I was actually pretty worried. It goes down quite easy. So, and you just don't have to watch it like at all. Like it's just there in the background. So I was like, oh God, what if I go home and I'm watching Supernatural? Like that's going to be rough. But I haven't turned it on. I've been watching 30 Rock. I'm with my friends Jack and Liz. They're the loves of my life. So I'm safe. I'm fine. It was fine. Everything is fine.
That's
but-
great. I'm in well into season 18 of SVU, and a few months ago I started with 12, I think. So
All right.
it's going pretty great over here for sure.
And Leah, I do think we just need to double back and let's get that season out of you. Let's get that season.
I'm still in season 8. I'm trying to look up what episode.
I
wow.
think you were in 7, weren't you?
No, she was like in 8
No.
last time, I think.
Oh, she was
No,
in
we
it.
made it into 8 together because remember I said I
That's
think
right,
this
we
is where
did
it's going to
watch
get
it.
good, and you said, when? Is it soon?
And it didn't. And you must admit, you agreed it had not.
I was
I
afraid
am
she was
on
going to be in double
16.
digits already.
No.
Oh, episode
8,
16.
16.
Oh my God. Okay.
Yeah, episode 16.
Whew. All right. Well, I would say thriving in the new year.
Yeah, thriving.
Doing just fine. Couldn't be doing better.
Yeah,
Well,
it's true.
Could be doing better. Won't be doing worse. Listen, it had to happen, so it happened. Okay.
That is the tagline. It had to happen, so it did happen.
So it did happen. On that note, I have been Allie.
I've been Ann.
And I've been Leah.
This is Tunnel Talk. Our theme song is by Chris Corkin. You can find us on Twitter, Tunnel Talk Pod, Tumblr, Tunnel Talk Pod, via email, tunneltalkpod@gmail.com. Please rate, review, and subscribe wherever you get your podcasts. And come back next week.